Hi friends, Kent Marts here on a beautiful Thursday afternoon. We're going to be talking about bird watching today. Today's show is On the Wing. During our Amazon Live broadcast that starts at 2 o'clock, we will be showing you some beautiful birds from Europe, courtesy of our friend Pekka Hautala in Sweden, Carl Bernhardt from Southern California, and a bird right here from where we live in Northwest Arkansas from our dearly departed friend Terry Stanfill, who gave us a tremendous amount of pictures, beautiful bird photography to use. So the show is about birding and how you look at birds. So binoculars are the way to go, other than your Mark 1R and Mark 1L eyeballs, the original bird watching instruments. A pair of binoculars is the way to go. And to the lineup today, we're going to add the Bresser Kids Binocular. These are 6x21. These are fantastic binoculars right here. Has a nice woven neck strap and safety connections, so if something gets hung, it'll pop right off the neck. This is a fantastic pair of binoculars, and they are very inexpensive. They're marketed as kid binoculars, but I'll tell you what, these are the real deal. They have a metal body with plastic inserts. The eyepiece, the lenses in here are glass. That, you know, not plastic lenses, they're glass lenses. They have a diopter, so they are real binoculars, really inexpensive, but a fantastic entry point to get kids to go out and learn how to use binoculars and bird watch with you. They're good for other activities for kids too, just like all binoculars. Astronomy, camping, hiking, going to the beach, whatever you want to do to get a little bit closer to what you're seeing. These binoculars are right in your wheelhouse. You know, if you've got a kid and you want to be the hero gift giver, right here is a way to be a hero gift giver to somebody for a child who is interested in the outdoors. I believe these are marketed for ages 6 and up, but 15, 18, adults. I know adults that buy these and take them to sporting events, so if they lose them or drop them or something happens, they're not out a whole bunch of money like when they take a $500 pair of binoculars to a sporting event. So fantastic item right here. Real simple to use, just like any binocular. Interpupillary distance, cover up the right eye, focus the left eye, and these are so good they'll almost focus about 6 feet away. I'm going to say they're going to be able to focus 12 feet away. Oh yeah, I'm focusing on easy inside of 12 feet. I'm focusing over there on Paul's computer, and I'm watching me watch myself. The problem is that light is glaring off of the right eyepiece, so I'm going to turn the diopter until I get in a good focus for that eye, and now my eyes are both in great focus. I am getting fantastic views right here. Look at that. A great pair of binoculars that you can pick up off the Explore Scientific website. These are the Bresser 6x21 Kids Binocular. They are the real deal. Be a hero gift giver. Find a kid in your life and get them a pair of these.
Mike Wiesner
was on the phone with Mr. Mike Wiesner just a little bit ago.
Howdy.
And Mike, I'll tell you this. I read the Buffalo National River application, and the campground we were talking about is already included in that report. It is already an International Dark Sky Park location. So fantastic. The board, we're talking about a camp over here in Arkansas, Boy Scout camp, and Mike used to run the International Dark Sky Association's Dark Sky Committee, and he was helping me. We were talking about getting dark sky status for the Boy Scout camp. Turns out that it's inside the boundaries of the Buffalo National River and is included in it, so it's already designated as an International Dark Sky spot. All we have to do is work on a couple of lights and get them fixed, and really we comply fully with the National Park Service and International Dark Sky designation. So Mike, that's a great piece of information I got, giving me the link to that National Park Service application. So moving along. Tariq, howdy y'all. Tariq, haven't seen you in a few days. Glad you're back with us. Thank you very much, sir, for giving us your time. Tariq lives in the UAE, so he is it's got to be fairly late at night over there right now. So moving along.
Night owl.
From the 6x21 Bresser binoculars, we're going to move up to another inexpensive pair of binoculars. These are the National Geographic 8x42 binoculars. They are an inexpensive way to enter binoculars. The first thing we're going to do is do what I have started calling the Scott Roberts flex test. If they flex or move a lot, you know you've got a pair of binoculars that's not put together well because the hinge is not tight. And if that's the case, and here comes my first sneeze. Excuse me, I got another one coming. I always sneeze right off the bat. This pair of binoculars is a great entry level. Now, we didn't talk about what the numbers mean on the kids' binoculars. We'll talk about it here. The 8 means, the first number means that it has an 8 power eyepiece. So it magnifies what you're looking at by a power of 8. And the 42 means they have a 42 millimeter objective lens. So these are 6 by 21s. The eyepieces are 6 power, 21 millimeter objective. So as the objective gets bigger, you can see they're bigger, more light comes into your eye, which means it's going to be brighter. This pair comes with a neck strap. Obviously, I didn't have it put on. This pair we've used before in another location has the neck strap on. Comes with a neck strap as well. Twist up eye cups, all right? So easier for glasses users. These have roll up eye cups, so these will roll down if you want to, but there's no real reason. Just leave them up like they come up. Fantastic pair of binoculars for people who have not used binoculars before and want to start their observing experience. Don't want to spend a lot of money because, you know, if you spend, you know, $300-400 and find out you don't ever use them or don't like it, then, you know, you've wasted your money. So you can find out if you like it. If you like it, then you can start upgrading your gear, buying better binoculars, or maybe a spotting scope. So when you go out and do bird watching, you have the power of a spotting scope, which makes it really easy to zoom in on your quarry birds in the bush, if you will. So any other comments yet? Don't see any comments. We do have the chat function up, so if you want to give us a shout out, we would love for you to do that, and we appreciate it when you do, so we can give you a shout out as well. Tariq, I want us to get some bird pictures from the UAE. You need to go down the shore and give me some shore pictures. Probably going to be many of the same birds we see from here. I've been looking at some maps, and there are quite a bit of birds that may be very similar to birds we have here. I have a Bino 8x42, excellent. I learned the sky first, buy it, a very good Tariq, absolutely. Tariq points out that you can learn the sky using binoculars. If you're interested in astronomy, a great way to start out, especially if you're a parent-child situation, is get the same kind of binoculars. And if you get your kid as a pair of these, get a pair of these for yourself. If you're doing them for astronomy or bird watching, use the same gear you give your kids. The reason is, and I learned this from my dad years ago, we started going fishing a lot, and, you know, we started out with, you know, kid-sized rods, and he saw the struggles we had, and I don't know, I must have been, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old, and he started buying us the same equipment he bought for himself. And our enjoyment my brother's, Andy's, and my enjoyment of fishing skyrocketed because we stopped having trouble. We were able to manage the fish instead of using short little kid rods that just didn't have the backbone to handle fish. And I learned from that, and later on asked Dad, and he said, well, I realized that, you know, if I wanted y'all to enjoy it, you need to be having good gear, and that meant using the same thing I did. So if you're going to use these and want to take your kid out doing astronomy with them or bird watching, real simple. Buy yourself a pair too and go out with the exact same gear your kid's using. You know how that's going to make your kid feel? I know how that's going to make that kid feel because I was using the same stuff Dad was using. And that's what kids want. You know, you go out with a $500 pair of binoculars and give them these, they know the difference after a certain age, right? So why don't you just go out with the same binoculars they have? You have the same field of view, you're seeing the same things they're seeing, and you're going to enjoy it just the same. It's about spending time with your family at that point. So, Tariq, thank you for that. The first target I saw with binoculars was the Pleiades Messier 42. Absolutely, the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters, if you will. If you're in Japan, it's called Subaru. And if you're familiar with the Subaru brand of cars, if you look at the logo, you're going to realize that it's the Pleiades, which the Japanese call Subaru. Their logo is an astronomical assembly of stars. It's an open cluster of stars near the constellation of Orion, where Tariq, probably one of the things you saw as well, real quick, would have been Orion's nebula Messier, M41. Messier being the name of a French astronomer who was trying to find comets, and he started a list of ended up being 110 things long of things that weren't comets. You got to remember, his telescope was not too good in the 1700s when he was doing court astronomy, so he couldn't tell that these were clusters of stars. He just saw them as little blobs that didn't move. Therefore, they weren't comets. Okay, so on to binoculars a little bit. Going to jump up. Which pair do I want to go to now? I think I'm going to go to the Shasta Ridge Alpen Optics Shasta Ridge binoculars. The Shasta Ridge is a series of binoculars. I happen to have the 10 by 42s here. They come in 8 by 42s as well. These have flip down attached eyepieces. These will come off, as well as standard eyepiece covers. They come in a great case with a strap. These are 10 by 42s, 10 power eyepieces, 42 millimeter objective lenses, so letting in a lot of light. And these Alpen binoculars are fully waterproof. The glass inside is fully multi-coated, which means every surface of glass in here has coatings on them. Those coatings mean that they're going to be big, bright, beautiful images, crisp and sharp. Now, when we bought the Alpen brand, the couple that owned Alpen retired and went out of business and had no product and had not had any production run in a while. When we bought them and took it over, the factory that made many of their binoculars had shut down, and all their molds and had been destroyed or gone. We couldn't find them. So we re-engineered these binoculars using more modern techniques, better prisms, things like that. These new Shasta Ridge binoculars are fantastic binoculars. I love this pair of binoculars. They're real simple to use. Those big 10 power objectives have really generous size, easy to find the image in your eyes. Now, these aren't close focus. These will focus over there on probably, where can I focus these at? Right there. Probably 9, 10 feet away, something like that. So 12, that's probably 15 feet away. We'll say 15 feet. And they have a really generous eye relief, twist up eye cups, again a diopter. Fantastic pair of binoculars with a Shasta Ridge 10 by 42. They also come in 8 by 42. Now, you sit there and think, okay, so why is the 10 by 42 and 8 by 42, they're very similar, yes, but magnification is dependent on how far away things you're wanting to look at, right? If the birds you're going to be looking at are going to be close, you want a little bit less magnification because they're just closer. Farther away, you need a little bit more magnification, just checking on the time to see where we stand. These Shasta Ridge and all the higher end Alpen binoculars come with this fantastic stretchable shoulder strap. If you're like me, you grew up with using your parents' binoculars that had that real thin solid plastic strap dug into your neck. If you're out in the summertime with a collarless shirt on with a t-shirt, then it just dug into your neck and it just got old real fast. And so you ended up carrying them, and that was no fun either. This will give you a long, it feels great on the neck, spongy, has a slip proof, so if you want to put it on your shoulder, they're not going to slide off near as easily as just a piece of raw plastic. A great little benefit to the Alpen binoculars right here. All right, so what else do we want to talk about? We're talking about birding. So to do birding, going out and looking at birds is, you can just go out and look at whatever. But if you want to get into birding, you need to have a way to look up what you can look up. Now, over in the Amazon Live broadcast here in a few minutes, we're going to have the National Geographic Field Guide to North American birds. Well, the reality is this field guide has a lot of birds that migrate down to South America or Central America as well. Many of these birds are going to be in there, but this is specific to North American birds. It's a great field guide. I use one. I have one on my desk and at my house. so I can look up birds, or in my RV, so I can look up birds when I'm out camping and find birds. I have started a life list. I do need to update it with some birds I've added. You know, if I would have written down the birds I've seen, probably in the hundreds. We have a friend of ours of the company, Dan George, who is at 597. He's 3 birds shy of 600, which is a milestone number for a lot of people, and he just is not in the mood to travel to have to find 3 different birds, because he's effectively seen every bird in his area around Colorado and within easy driving distance. He would have to either get really lucky and see a really oddball that showed up, or travel a great distance to do it. And he's just like, I'm fine with 597. I know, part of me wants me to say, I'm just going to come out and go with you, and we're going to go find you 3 birds that you haven't seen. Now, one aspect of bird watching is you look at birds, and a lot of birds can look really alike. But those birds that look alike almost always have different songs. And Dan is great at identifying birds by ear. He's learned and memorized the songs of birds, so he can hear a bird in a tree and go, that's a Carolina wren, or that's a green-throated warbler, or that's a whistling duck, whatever. He can identify the birds he knows by the sounds. Now, I'm sure I would do this, and I've been trying to do this. If I'm going out and I know some species of birds around, I will go to YouTube and listen to those calls, because I want to hear those sounds, and I try and remember what they were. So when I go out in the woods, I hear that call, and I go, oh, I think it's this, right? And that helps me maybe identify the bird much more easily than actually seeing the bird. And especially if it's a female, a lot of these female birds are just nondescript. Gray birds, brown birds, not a lot of color to them. And so, you know, the sound can be a great indicator of what kind of bird that is. So I've really started enjoying birding. I sat in the backyard, did it last night, eating supper in the backyard, was listening to the birds. Could identify them all by either sight or sound, so I didn't pull the binoculars out. Had I heard a bird, I would have gone to my truck, got a pair of binoculars out, and started eyeballing them. So we have, do we not have a comment? It'll pop up on my screen. Here we go. Tariq, I had a bino back when I was a kid, but I don't mention my childhood passions. Yeah, we all have different passions as when we were a child than we do as adult. And some of them we talk about, and some of them I guess we don't. So, got another one coming up. Mike Wiesner, oh yeah, I still have those 7x50 binoculars from 1966. You know, and they're probably, if they're like, I still got my dad's old binoculars from probably Korean era or maybe early 60s. You know, solid, good pair of binoculars. They're, I can't remember the brand. They're just black, covered in plastic. They still work. They're still good. But you take a 7x50 or a 10x50 and put them up next to a modern pair, the difference is astounding. You take a 1966 car and put it up to a 2022 car, the differences are astounding. They're both cars, but, you know, they're astounding. Synthil Nagapan, hello, Synthil. And he says, hi, everyone. Thank you for giving us a shout-out. We appreciate it very much. So we are winding down. It's 1:54. Going to have to take a couple of minutes to get ready for the Amazon Live broadcast. You can join us over there in a couple of minutes. Or, Paul, you just want to roll straight into it? How you want to do this, Paul? We just roll straight into it? All right, so we'll just keep talking a little bit, and you're going to hear some of the same stuff over again, because we might as well just go on to it and just roll straight into the Amazon Live broadcast. You can join us over at Amazon Live. Paul will put up the link if you want to go to Amazon Live. We do appreciate you if you do follow us over there, because the more viewership we get, the higher the Amazon algorithms present us to the viewers. And also, if you haven't done so, give us a follow over there. We appreciate that very much. That, too, raises the algorithm, our appearance in the algorithm. The better we perform, the more people see us. It becomes a very positive feedback loop. And once we get to 2,000 followers, we become what's called an A-list broadcaster. And we really get promoted into the tech field. If you've ever gone to the homepage of Amazon Live, most of it's makeup and clothing with a couple of, sort of tool-related things as well. But we've not seen anybody doing astronomy or birding or things like that. So this is a sales channel, but we also try and do a whole lot of education during these broadcasts because it's just a good way to do things. Now, before we get over there to Amazon Live, where I can't say other media platforms, we have rolled my On the Wing bird presentation into the Amazon Live broadcast, and 4 o'clock has become an Explorer Alliance discussion between the founder and president of the company, Scott Roberts, and Annie Scarborough, who is the Explorer Alliance coordinator. Tariq, I think I need to watch the birds in my garden so I can understand their timings, maybe a spot they choose more, then I can image them better. Tariq, absolutely, that is a great way of doing it. If you've got birds in your yard, just start shooting the birds in your yard with the gear you've got. I have taken pictures with my smartphone held up to the eyepiece of a pair of binoculars. Wasn't the greatest in the world, but you know what? I was proud of the pictures I got, and it got me started doing some birding photography. I do not have a DSLR. I was a photographer for a newspaper, editor and publisher for the newspaper my whole life, and switched over to digital and just used a really inexpensive, Fujifilm digital camera. I want to get a better camera rig, just haven't done it yet. Nikon or Canon. I was a Nikon guy most of my life.
I'm going to cut to the cover screen for a second.
There we go. On the screen is the link to Amazon Live. Boy, it'd be nice if it whole lot better link than that. But you take what Amazon gives you, it goes on.
Hang on.
By the way, guys, I have closed captioning on the monitor going on over here, which is exactly on top of where the comments box is, which makes it.
Did your microphone die?
For me.
Did your microphone die?
Did my microphone die?
There it is.
No. Yes. Maybe.
No, it's not. I told you I was going to go to that.
Okay.
The cover page for a minute.
So my microphone did not die. That's always a good thing. So there's the link to Amazon Live. We're going to be going over there in about 3 minutes. So, Tariq, I would love to see some pictures. And again, they don't have to be, world-class pictures. We're getting ready to look at some pictures that Pekka took, and some of them are spectacular. And one of them, he had to blow up a whole lot. And it's not the greatest picture in the world, but hey, it gives us a reason to talk about some Eurasian birds, which is always great. It sent me down a trail of learning more information about some Eurasian birds. One of them has a close cousin, a bird I see all the time here in the wintertime, and we'll talk about that as well. So, how close, Paul, to switching over? Minute and a half?
Like a minute and a half, yeah.
A minute and a half. So I'm going to go ahead. What do we want to talk about? You need a bird book.
Up like this.
You need a bird book, Tariq, or online is a great source. But a bird book will let you thumb through and look at them a little bit better. I don't know if there's a bird book out there, Birds of the Middle East. There probably is, but I don't know that. I do know there are some apps that you can download regions of the world, and that might be the route you need to go if you can't find a printed book about birds in your region. And that's great advice for everybody. Find a bird book for your region. We have a company friend who is down in Costa Rica, and he sent me the birds of Costa Rica, and I went through the bird book and was shocked how many birds of Costa Rica are the same birds as the birds of Arkansas, or at least the Mid-South or the Southwest. I mean, a lot of the North American birds we see migrate, and those birds go down to places like Costa Rica. So we share a lot of birds, but they have a lot of beautiful jungle birds that we don't have here. So I've really enjoyed looking through that book as well and reading up on some of these birds that I literally probably will never see. I'd have to go to Costa Rica or somewhere down there close to be able to see those birds. So here we go. I think we're getting ready to flip over and go live on Amazon. So we're going to go to a hold screen, Paul. We're in a hold screen right now. Here we go. Launching. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Thursday's broadcast here on Amazon Live. If you're just joining us, I appreciate you very much. I know as we go live for a few minutes more, some people are going to jump in. I'm Kent Marts. I work for Explore Scientific. Today's show is going to be on the wing. It's about birding. So one of the first things you need to get started in birding is a bird book. And if you look over in the carousel, you're going to find out that there's a book over there. That's the North American Field Guide. Let me see. The National Geographic Field Guide to Birds of North America. Obviously, it's a guide for North American birds. If you live in another part of the world, you need to find a guide there. There's also apps that you can download if you can't find a bird book here on Amazon for your region of the world. So we've added a new pair of binoculars to the lineup. We've been doing the same binoculars for a while now. Hey, Noah, you want to switch me over on the broadcast over to Amazon? I'd appreciate that so I can see the Amazon comments as they come in. Here on the Amazon platform, if you're on the Amazon platform, you can chat with us through the chat function. We love questions, shout-outs, highs, howdies, guten Tagen, whatever you want to send us. We appreciate it very much, and we'll give you a shout-out by name back to you, or at least username back to you. And if you've if you haven't followed us and you like what you're seeing, click that follow button. That raises our profile on the Amazon Live algorithm, which helps more people see the stuff we're putting out. So, you can find your way back to our live stream very easily, because now you're a follower and it'll show up in your follows and you'll get notification as well. So over on the left-hand side, you're going to be able to find the National Geographic Field Guide to North American Birds. Pick that up so you know what you're looking for. If you're not from North America, find a bird book for you and buy that thing. So I want to talk about the the Bresser 6x21 binoculars. This is a kid's pair of binoculars. It's marketed as a kid's pair of binoculars, but I'm going to tell you what. It'll pop up here in just a second as the featured item, and it'll show up in the top of the carousel. Don't know what the price is here. Haven't looked. Not going to talk about price. You can see the price. This is a fantastic pair of binoculars. This are real binoculars. These are not toy. These are not cheap plastic with plastic lenses and plastic everything. This is a metal body with the yellow part is a sort of a soft rubberized, but the red part, that's metal, folks. That's solid metal, solid pair of binoculars. And if you want to execute a what I call the Scott Roberts twist test, by golly, it passes the Scott Roberts Flex fit test. They don't twist. This is a real pair of binoculars right here. So if you want to get them, you want to be a hero gift giver, buy a kid a pair of these right here and give it to them. Buy yourself a pair and then go bird watching with them, or go out doing sports or the beach or whatever. But I've talked about this before. When my dad was taking my brother and I fishing, he's a couple years older, he was taking us fishing. At some point, he realized that we were struggling with all the kids' gear we were using because it just wasn't good for catching fish. Yeah, it was kid stuff, but it was toy stuff. He realized that we would probably do better with adult-sized gear. And I don't know, I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and he started buying us the same gear he fished with. Well, that one made me feel special because, by golly, I knew that stuff was more expensive and was using it just like he was, and we were doing a great job of catching fish. And the rod just had the ability, and the reel had the ability to handle bigger and better fish. Same thing. Get your kid a pair of these binoculars and go out with the same binoculars your kid's using. It's going to make their day when you're looking at the same things up in the sky they are. You're looking at the moon with the same binoculars. You're looking at the planets. You're looking at the Pleiades star cluster. Whatever it is, you're going to be looking at the same binoculars they're using, and you can have great conversations and spend great time with your kids using the Bresser 6x21 binoculars. So, over the carousel, they're $29.39. You can't beat the price for a kid's pair of binoculars that's a real, these are the real deal, real pair of binoculars, glass lenses, metal body, has a diopter right there. Most kids' binoculars have just a single focus in and out. If both eyes don't focus the same way, they're okay, you're just stuck for the way it is. But with these, you've got a diopter to adjust the right eye focus, just like bigger, better, more expensive binoculars. This pair of binoculars is a fantastic pair. The numbers, let's talk about what the numbers mean. These are 6x21s, meaning the eyepiece, this part right here where you look through, the eyepiece is 6 power. So it magnifies 6 times what you see, or think of it as being 6 times closer to the same objects. The same thing.
Down and over.
Sir?
Down. That
Down.
way. Other way.
There we go. Move these back. 6 millimeter, 6 power eyepieces, and 21 millimeter objective right here. So 21 millimeters describes how much light gets pulled in to this pair of binoculars, goes through the prisms, and yes, there's a prism in here even. This is not just straight through. There's a nice prism in here that comes up. Now, these aren't waterproof. They're not coated, but this is a fine pair of binoculars to start out with for a child or for an adult. I know adults who will take these to sporting events. I've sold them to people in the store. They'll take them to sporting events, so if they get dropped or broken or lost or whatever, you know, they're not out with like they would be if they took the really expensive binoculars out. I like this pair of binoculars immensely. I think it's a great tool to bring some young people into some things that we enjoy: bird watching, astronomy, going to the beach, whatever, looking at mountains, whatever. I think it's a great way to get them away from a digital device and start looking at the world around them and expand their natural horizons into things that you enjoy and things that they can enjoy as well. So the Bresser kids, 6x21. I hate saying kids because they're for more than just kids. So Paul, get ready to show up first, I think, 3 birds. We'll be showing those birds here in just a minute after I talk about the National Geographic 8x42 binoculars. This is a National Geographic branded binoculars. Over in the carousel, they are very affordable. The number 8, so I have 8 power eyepieces, and the 42 means the objective lens is 42 millimeters across. So you can see the size difference. It's like a hose. You get more water out of a big hose than a little hose. You get more light into a big pair of binoculars. So more light coming in means brighter image coming out to your eye right there. That's what those numbers mean. So the bigger the better. There's some astronomy binoculars. They're giant and you can't hold them up. They're so big. There's some that are really 2 telescopes side by side and they weigh 18 pounds and have to have a special mount for them. Those things are fantastic to look at, but they're not portable like a pair of 8x42s or even some smaller ones we're going to look at here in a minute. So, Paul, picture number 1. Picture number 1 comes to us from Pekka Hautala. That is a black-headed gull. He took these in Stockholm, Sweden. The black-headed gull is gull, G-U-L-L, is up, and this is a fantastic image. You know, they're sitting on a pier in what looks like a little creek, and that one is flying over there with the sunlight on its tail on the right. Just a beautiful photo that Pekka got. I just like this photo. It was really eye-pleasing. And I want to start off with a beautiful eye candy, basically. So, obviously, the most obvious thing on them, and if you want to go to picture number 2 now, Paul, you can, because it'll be a little bit more descriptive of what we're looking at. And you can see the bird a little better. But I want to start out with that beautiful picture Pekka got. Okay, so this bird right here has that obvious chocolate brown head on it. And if you look closely, it's chocolate brown. It's not black, although it's called the black-headed gull. It's really the chocolate-headed gull. The hood is lost in winter. It's only breeding plumage, and only 2 black spots remain. So they lose their feathers and they come back with a different color. They're found over much of Europe and across the Palearctic to Japan and East China, and even an occasional visitor to the eastern coast of North America. Also in that picture, if you look closely, there's a couple of Mallard Ducks. Mallard Ducks are also in Europe, but the black-headed gull in Sweden is a Eurasian species that is generally not seen in the United States or Central or South America. So I believe we have a third picture ready to go. Let me see which one this is going to be. I don't remember which one the third picture is. Okay, that's not the third picture. The third
Number
picture.
3, isn't it?
Nope. Number 3 should be a blackbird, a Eurasian coot. There we go. The Eurasian coot, or the common coot, again brought to us by Pekka Hautala, and Pekka hasn't weighed in, so he must not be on the show today. I wish he was so he could see us using his pictures. The Eurasian coot is again a big bird. Remember, the black-headed gull is up to 17 inches long. The Eurasian coot is up to 15 inches long. They have a slate black body, a glossy head, and a white bill. You can't really see that white bill. To me, it almost looks like a yellow almost, or an ivory-colored bill. The Eurasian coot is a very I can't call it cute. And the Eurasian coot is a noisy bird with a wide range of crackling, explosive, or trumpeting calls, which I'm sure the people who live around where they roost love it, often doing it at night. They're omnivorous. They eat live prey, eggs of other birds, algae, vegetation, seeds, and fruit. Anything they can find, they will eat. Now, these birds have yellow to black legs. The American coot, which we've had on the show before, has these crazy green, bright green, yellowish legs. Looks very similar, but that is the American coot, common coot. This is the Eurasian coot, also known as the common coot. They are found in Europe, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and North Africa. So we're going to go on and talk about some more binoculars, and then we're going to talk about whatever bird comes next. It's going to be the solitary Sandpiper. We'll have a picture of it here in a few minutes. So we're going to move on to the Alpen Magnaview compact 8x25 binoculars. 8 power, 25 millimeters. What makes these different is they fold up into a really nice, small, compact size. They're small enough, they'll fit in my shirt pocket. All right, here we go, right there. $64.99 over in the window right now. Comes with a great Alpen warranty. Now, this pair of Alpen binoculars is fully multi-coated. The National Geographic brand, I failed to tell you, which is a really big seller on Amazon for us. Lots of people buy that, has great reviews. The National Geographic, they're fully coated, which means, I'm going to pull these out, which means fully coated, this surface and this surface have coatings. Fully multi-coated means that every glass surface through the light path, every light surface through here has a coating on. So every time there's a surface the light either goes into or comes out of, those surfaces are all coated. What does that do for you? Those proprietary coatings give it sharper, clearer, crisper images. It manages the light to make sure it's reaching your eye as it should. Those coatings are what makes binoculars better and better and better, as well as the more you pay for binoculars, the better glass and materials you're going to get. Which is not to say these aren't great binoculars. It's just like cars. There's great cars and then there's expensive great cars. This is a great pair of binoculars. It's a great car. Has a focus on it. There I went, filler word. Actually, it's not a word, is it? It's a sound. So, anyway, we do have the chat function up. If you're watching, we'd love for you to give us a shout and say howdy so we know you're there and we'll give you a shout out back. We appreciate that interaction, and really, I like it a lot because it makes the show better when I'm answering questions. I really like answering questions from the people out there in camera land, and it's just better to have interaction. Comes with a neck strap. Don't have it on here. Fully multi-coated. They're waterproof, meaning you can drop these in a puddle and it might get dirty, but they're not going to get water inside of them and ruin the binoculars. That water inside is deadly to a pair of binoculars because once it's in there, it's almost impossible to get it out. And to get it out with this, the only reason they get wet inside is if you had opened them up and broke the purge. They're filled with nitrogen. I'm going to guess nitrogen or argon, one of the two. They're filled with the inert dry gas, which means there's no moisture in there, so they're not going to fog up on you. Some pair of binoculars will internally fog up because the moisture in the air starts sticking to the glass, just like your iced tea sweats on a hot, sweaty, humid summer afternoon. Same thing happens, except it's inside the binoculars. When that glass reaches a certain temperature, it pulls that humidity out of the air, and now you've got fogged up binoculars that you can't use, and it may stay that way for a long time. These won't do it. As long as you don't mess with them and open the purge, these are going to stay waterproof, a fantastic investment. And I consider after a certain point a pair of binoculars as an investment. Everybody's investment level is different. This is, $64.99 over in the carousel, a really darn good price. It's an investment for me at that point, right? The $25 one's an investment, but it won't kill me if I drop them accidentally or leave them laying on the counter at a concession stand at, let's say, an American football game or whatever. So the Magnaview 8x25 binoculars, nice compact, really folding design, goes into your pocket really well. Moving along, we're going to talk about the Alpen Wings 8x34 binoculars. Comes in a nice handy carrying case with 2 zippers on it, really well made pair of binoculars in case. The case has a shoulder strap. I just keep it sort of folded up in there. It makes it easier to put back in the box. Same reason we don't have a shoulder strap on or neck strap on the binoculars. Comes with eye cup kept on by keeper rings. You can take these off if you want to, put them in your pocket. And the eyepiece covers have a little area on them where you can put when you put the neck strap on, you can put the eye caps on as well. So they're always attached to the binoculars. You don't have to worry about losing them. These are 8x34, so 8 power, 34 millimeter across, starting to get a little bit bigger, a little bit more light coming in, right? So these are, again, fully multi-coated. They're waterproof. They're purged. Going to last you a long time. They also come, like all Alpen products do, with the great Alpen warranty. I like these binoculars because you can get your fingers down around them, really get a hold of them. They pass the Scott Roberts flex test with flying colors. And the step up from the previous binoculars to this pair of binoculars, these are significantly brighter when you look out across. Why? Because a little bit more light coming in. Over looking at Noah's desk, he's working on, what's he working on? He's working on one of our other websites. Working on content, it looks like, making the words better. He's doing a little website editing over there. By the way, wave hi, Noah. Ah, hi, Noah. So, fantastic, bright, really nice. Now, when I use binoculars, we'll do this a little bit. I haven't talked about this in a while. When I use binoculars, I look at what I want to look at, and I just bring the binoculars up, right? And the more steady you can hold them, the better off you are. So what I do is I hold them like this, elbows in, up, put the eye cups up against the bridge of my eyebrows, and if I'm wearing a ball cap, when I come up to look at it, I open my hands up, grab the bill of my ball cap, and I use a fitted cap. It's got to be tight. A one size fits all is not going to work because it's going to pull down. But a one size fit, a fitted cap or a snap back cap works really well. You can get a hold of them and hold them down, and now your binoculars are held really still. And when they're being held still and locked to your head, like when you turn, if you're holding the bill of your cap, your binoculars just goes with you. And there I am looking at Paul over on the desk, messing with the size of the picture and the zoom of the camera that I'm on. How about that? So I really like these. You can get your binoculars and really hold still. The more you hold still, the more detail you're going to see, whether it's looking at Noah's computer screen and talking about, Kodiak products, or looking at birds, you see more detail. The more detail you see, the more you're going to enjoy the hobby, the pastime, right? So, let me get my glasses on. 220. All right, moving along pretty good. slow down a little bit. Paul, let's look at the next bird, shall we? This bird comes to us from Southern California, courtesy of Carl Bernhardt.
We're on
Carl,
4?
Sir?
4?
Should be 4. This is the least or smaller sandpiper. So it's the least sandpiper. It's a small bird, obviously. So the ID program he used identified it as either the least sandpiper or a common yellowlegs. I identified it by its different body color. Looking at the different birds in the bird book, it clearly is a lesser or least, I always say lesser sandpiper, what I always called it, but its practical name or operating name is the least least sandpiper or small turnpiper. Turnpiper, I have turn on the brain. Sandpiper. This was taken at Bolsa Chica Preserve in California, where Carl spends a whole lot of time birding. He also does astronomy as well. So this bird is a small bird, 5 to 6 inches long, not a big bird, why it's called the least sandpiper. It's a shore feeder that prefers muddier flats than other sandpipers. So if they're out in really, really muddy areas, then they're probably going to, and they're small, they're probably going to be least sandpipers. They have yellowish green legs, but those colors are often masked by mud because they'll wade in muddy mud and deep soft mud and cover their legs with it. They gather in flocks. However, these flocks are not as large as most other sandpipers that flock together.
Who made this photo?
Carl
Bernhardt.
Bernhardt. And he's made all the others except the last one. The last one will be a Terry Stanfield photo.
Okay.
You can find these birds. You know, I'm reading the wrong stinking thing. This didn't number them. This is the solitary sandpiper. I'm sorry, and how do I know that? It's wading in water. And I finally realized my error. This is a solitary sandpiper taken at the San Jacinto Wildlife Preserve, also in California, taken by Carl Bernhardt. It's 7 to 9 inches long, so, you know, think about it. It's about like that. As the name implies, generally found as solitary individuals. That's why it got its name. He noted that he walked through the area. He flushed a couple of the birds, so it wasn't absolutely solitary, but it wasn't in a bunch of flocks like other sandpipers that we've already talked about, which is not this one. Okay. Dark olive brown above with prominent white eye-ring and pale white undersides. If you look at this one closely, that dominant eye-ring is apparent, and you know the dark olive brown is obvious, and the white undersides. These forage in freshwater wetlands, so you're not going to find them in on the ocean shore. There you can see that bright eye ring, the mottled back, and the whitish with obviously yellow legs. That is the solitary sandpiper. The range is the United States and Canada, except for much of the southwest and the west. So you're getting northern Arizona, New Mexico. They're not there up through Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, up in that neck of the woods, and in the up in the Rockies. The range extends north into the Canadian territories and Alaska, and down into South America. But for some reason, the maps don't show them in the Great Plains and Rockies states, many of them. So that is the solitary sandpiper. Paul, let's go on to the next bird.
Hang on.
Which is going to be the one I just talked about, which didn't match the picture. I'm sorry for that. So if you're out there, give us a holler. We would love to talk to you directly with a conversation. And also, if you have bird pictures that you've taken, feel free to send those to us. You can contact us through, contact Noah through the chat function right now, and he'll tell you where to send them, or you can go to the Explore Scientific store here on Amazon.com, and we'll be happy to provide you the method to get those to us so we can use them in a future broadcast. So this is a photo from Carl. It is the least or smaller sandpiper. We just went over this. It's in the Boca Chica Preserve, 5 to 6 inches tall, so just a little bit smaller than the solitary sandpiper. But it likes to feed in muddier flats than other sandpipers. It gathers in flocks, but generally smaller flocks than other sandpipers, unless, of course, you're the solitary sandpiper, in which case you don't gather in flocks. So there's a nice zoomed in. Paul has the ability to zoom in on these birds. Notice it doesn't have that prominent eye ring that the other bird had. It has a different modeling on the back. The feathers are different colored. It's clearly a sandpiper, but it's different from the solitary sandpiper, and you will find these in mud flats that could be freshwater or brackish or saltwater. These are found in all of North America up into the top half of South America. All right, so we're going to go on, Paul, and we got 2 more birds we're going to talk about, but not right now. We're going to talk about another pair of binoculars.
Who took the next ones?
Sir?
Who was taking the next ones?
The next one is by Carl, and then, actually there's 2 more. The next 2 are by Carl, and then the last one is by Terry Stanfill. So we'll do these Tetons, and we'll do 2 more that Carl took. So these are the Alpen Teton 10 by 42 binoculars. So we're getting up into a little bit more power, a little bit more light gathering capacity. And I'll tell you what, these aren't the pinnacle of the Alpen product. Those would be the, what the heck is the name of the top one? I can't think of it. Anyway, just drawing a blank out of the blue. These are the Alpen Teton 8 by 42 binoculars. These are a significant upgrade to other binoculars.
What's the other man's name?
These have Terry Stanfill.
T-E-R-R-Y?
Yes, Stanfill. These are 8 by 42 binoculars. For some reason, they're with a 10 by 42 box, but these are 8 by 42s. Now, they have an Abbey Prism. Abbey Prism, you can look it up, as a design prism by a guy named Abbey, A-B-B-E, or Abbey or A-B. I don't know how to pronounce it. I pronounced Charles Messier for about the first 30 years of my life until I figured out it was French and Messier. So, you know, we all mispronounce words, I reckon. So, anyway, that Abbey Prism handles light really, really well. And what it does is it transforms these binoculars into a beautiful view of binoculars. And I think we got some B-roll, don't we, Paul, on these? Yeah, don't worry about it if you don't want to do it. If you're working on the pictures.
Yeah, I'm working on your pictures.
Okay, so
one thing at a time.
Paul was up in Iowa shooting some video of one of our pro staff, and it was dark, and he picked up these pair, and he looked over out in the woods and saw deer and turkey and was blown away by how it was dark and he was still able to see. Their light gathering capacity of these binoculars, coupled with the great high-end face coatings and the Abbey Prism, produce fantastic views through the binoculars. They just knock your socks off. Looking over there at Noah's screen, it's even brighter than the Shasta Ridge, a sharper, a little bit more power, so I'm zoomed in a little bit more. Not zoomed, they don't zoom, but they're 10 power, so it's almost like I'm looking over his shoulder. Really fantastic pair of binoculars. Have a question. Red carpet telescopes. Hey there, thanks for watching. Those are great binos, absolutely. Red Carpet Telescope is a dealer and has used these. So, fine pair of binoculars, and the cool thing is I can focus really close. The camera is, let's see, 6 feet away, maybe 7.
No.
Closer than that?
Like 8, 7.5, 8.
7.5 and 8. Now I can clearly read on the lens, it's an FE 3.5 to 6.5. I think my shoulder's in. Was in 6.5/2 28 to 70 OSS. The filter size is Theta 55. Fantastic pair of binoculars right here. If you're looking for an investment, a really serious investment in binoculars, this pair right here is the way to go with the Alpen Teton binoculars. It's an investment. If you've been using binoculars and it's time for you to upgrade to a new pair of binoculars, and you consider a pair of binoculars something that you're going to keep around and take care of, treat them like a fine instrument, then this is the pair for you, because it is. These are a fine instrument pair of binoculars. Comes with the neck strap, comes with a great case. But the binoculars, when you look through them, are going to blow you away. And compared to similar binoculars from other brands, the price point is really there. A really great pair of binoculars for you to use for years and years and years to come. And again, has the great Alpen warranty. You would be excited to use these. You're going to be excited to hand them to someone else and say, hey, look through these and look at that bird over there. Look at that great American white pelican, which we're going to look at in just a minute. Pelicans are huge, beautiful birds, and we're going to take a look at those in just a second. But maybe you're out in a lake in the wintertime in the heartland of America, and you see a gigantic white trash bag sized bird out there. You pull your binoculars out and you realize that thing is a pelican, and boy, it's big. You know, pelicans are around here, especially in wintertime, on many of our lakes and rivers, and they are spectacular birds to see. Anyway, the Abbey Prism is fantastic for transferring the light from the front elements to your eye. These are waterproof. These are nitrogen or argon purged, which means those are both inert dry gases. They don't hold moisture like air does. So when these are assembled, they're submerged in a tank of argon or nitrogen, and then final assembly happens, and there's O-rings in there that close down, keep the purged gas in, and air, and then meaning moisture out of the binoculars. That's how the purging works. Once there's no moisture in there, they can't fog up. Just like I said earlier, you know, if you take a iced tea out in a hot summer evening and sit there on the porch, and it just glistens with moisture, it starts trickling down, same thing. The glass will reach a certain temperature, and it'll pull the humidity out of the air, the moisture out of the air that's inside the binoculars, and it'll stick to those glass elements. And now you've got moisture inside. That's the benefit of waterproof eyepieces. You're not going to have that moisture problem inside that is going to ruin your evening or morning of viewing when the temperature hits the right thing. Or if you've had them inside and carry them outside into a humid environment, that cold glass is going to suck moisture out and get on the outsides of the binoculars. That's okay, because that moisture is on the outside. You can dry it off and take care of it. Now, when it comes to cleaning binoculars, you need to be careful, because every time you touch those glass surfaces and rub on them, you're taking off a little bit of the coatings. And you want to really be very, very careful. We've seen pairs of binoculars come back that looked like somebody had taken their shirt tail and ground sand into the eyepieces or the objective lenses, and that renders them very, very painful to use because of all those scratches. So, Paul, let's go ahead and look at the American Pelican.
Oh. So you skip.
Oh, those are.
Skip Sandpipers.
Those are going to be. Forgot about that picture. Those are going to be. Which ones? Those are going to be another flock of least or small sandpipers gathering in a flock. There you can see another flock of least sandpipers right there. That's a Carl Bernhardt photo. And zoom in on that one that's flying right there in the middle. I really like the composition of this picture. Caught one of the birds up in the air, and Paul has the ability to work his magic.
It's not fast.
It's not fast, but by golly, He's a magician. Ooh, we didn't talk about this. Got something to talk about too. Huh? Yeah, just zoom in on that one in the very middle. It's
a little out of focus.
Well, shooting birds is hard. Focus is tough.
I'll do that one. This one's in focus. All right.
And here we go. Paul's talking to himself as he works on it. If you're out there, we'd love for you to give us a shout out. If you like what we're doing, click on that follow button so we can give you a thank you directly for following us. There we go. You can see how the undersides of those wings, often you see the birds flying. That white patch when they're flying becomes an indicator of these birds as well. But compare that back to if you were with us, the other sandpiper we saw had a completely different coloration. And notice how these birds are wading in some fairly significant mud. This is the least or small sandpiper right there. So there you go. Another beautiful photo by Carl Bernhardt. If you have pictures, go out and take some pictures because we've seen it and we inspired you to do it. We would love to hear your story as well. So we've now moved over to the American white pelican. Obviously, gigantic birds. These were taken by Carl at the Pardo Basin Regional Park in Chino, California. Now, when I say big, these birds are up to 60 inches long. That's 5 feet in footage terms. So we're talking about really, really big birds here. The adults are snowy white with black flight feathers, as you can see in that one with the reflection on the right where it's coming in. And there's one in the middle with its wing raised up. You can see the flight feathers are black. And I didn't look at these. You can see none of these. They grow a horn in the middle of their upper mandible or beak, whatever you want to call it. And by a horn, it's just this round, like this, protuberance. It's just like you took like a...
You can see it.
Is there one there? Oh, there you can see it starting. The one on the left, you can see it's larger. So these are birds that are probably coming into breeding season and they're growing that protuberance. Think about it as being like half of a tea saucer, colored orange sitting on top of the bill. That's sort of what it looks like. Is that the only one? Can you slide it over and see if the others have? Anybody else in that picture has?
Not exactly easy.
The protuberance, the horn that grows. So it's not a horn like on a cow or you think a rhinoceros with a point to it. They don't have those. Nope, these are all either coming into breeding season or going out of breeding season, and they're losing the protuberance. But you can see these are just big, big, big birds, and they're beautiful, beautiful, pure white. This is the American white pelican. They're generally found west of the Mississippi River, extend up in the Great Plains province of Canada, and along the Gulf Coast into Mexico. Obviously, since these are taken in California, they're on the western coast of California too. But the maps I saw don't show them going up into some of the northern areas of the United States. But as we know, birds don't read maps that we produce, and they go where they wish. So we'll talk about a couple more birds here in just a minute after we talk about the Alpen tripod adapter. This is a tripod adapter designed to be used on any pair of good binoculars. This pair of binoculars and most good pair of binoculars have a little screw. I'll wait for Paul to get the camera set.
Not that fast.
Yep, I know. I can't say how bright these things are. You look through these, and it just is a wow factor. When you look through another pair and then look through these, even with just a step or two down in series, it's a wow factor. So on the binoculars right here, this little screw right here looks like it's part of the hinge, but it's not. This comes off and unscrews to reveal a little hole. And what does that little hole do? that little hole, and I'm going to, well, it's hard to do. Can I do it here? This little hole right here allows you to take the Alpen tripod adapter, screw it in, get it good and tight, and then tighten it up by twisting. That's too tight, so I'm going to loosen it up a little bit. I may have done it now. There we go. So you can now put that tripod adapter on here, and now you can go to a tripod that's equipped with a 1/4 to 20 screw. Basically, any tripod in America has that, and you can attach that tripod to the Alpen adapter, and now you don't have to hold the telescope up anymore. Now, the downside to it is you can't move quick, but certainly you can do this with it, and then this tripod, which we don't have in stock, but it came on a finder scope. This pair of binoculars allows you to, let me get them my interpupillary distance set. Of course, there we go. Got to get them lined up to your eyes, right? And there we go. So I can now move this left, right, and up and down in slow motion and keep it, and I don't have to hold it up. And now if that bird's sitting still, I can just sit there and watch. And if it's moving slowly, I can just turn the tripod and follow it like that and focus as I need to. That's the Alpen tripod adapter over in the carousel right now. A very nice addition, inexpensive to your kit. If you already have a tripod, it'll fit on your tripod and transform your viewing pleasure, because you don't have to hold those binoculars up anymore. Because when your arms gets tired after a while, it becomes a pain in the arms to hold them up. So this is the Alpen tripod adapter over in the carousel. Right now, don't remember the price, but you know, it's like 21 bucks. Spend the money on it. Save your arms. Find a tripod here on Amazon.com if you don't have one already, and you can add that to your arsenal of binocular viewing. Now, I sort of like a tripod, or excuse me, a monopod, which is it's an oxymoron to say, but a one-legged tripod. It's got a 1/4 to 20 head on it, but it's only one leg, not two. Monopods are easy to use. They're very stable, yes, but they're so much easier to use than a tripod, but you have to hold it up. If you want it on a tripod to stand itself up, then you're going to have to use like a mini tabletop tripod like this one, or you can have a full-size tripod that holds itself up. I like a monopod from my sports photography days. You can move really quick with a monopod and reposition and go. So if you're on the move looking for birds, you can shorten it down, easy to carry, then stand it up and stand full height, look through binoculars and go on down the road. Same with the camera if you're out trying to take pictures as well. So, Paul, let's go ahead and look at the last couple of birds. That, friends,
Mr.
is...
Barnhart, right?
Yep, Carl photo. That, friends, is a ringed bill gull, and it is a juvenile. We can tell because its coloration is not exactly right, but I looked at other gulls, and I couldn't find one that looked like this that fit, so I'm going to go with Carl's description of a juvenile ring-billed gull, and you can't really see the ring on the bill because it's open, but it has one. All right, so this was also taken at the Bolsa Chica Preserve in California. Stands up to 22 inches tall, or length, not height, but length, from 17 to 22 inches, so nearly 2 feet long. This is a big bird here, right? 3 feet smaller than a pelican, but still a big bird. And it's a shorebird, obviously. It has a short, slim bill with a black ring on it, hence the black ringed gull's name, right? Adults are gray on top, and we see that gray here a little bit on top of the wings with black wingtips and white spots. We can see the wingtips, but the wings just don't look quite right. So, you know, it could be a hybrid. It could be another species that just hadn't matured, but the ringbill pretty well gives it away as a ringbill gull. Yellow legs and a yellow bill with that white or black ring. They fly in huge flocks, feeding together. The nimble, strong flyers. They're very acrobatic and hover as well. I've got a picture I need to dig up when we were down on a mission trip in Texas before crossing the border into Mexico. I had a 14-year-old, and there were gulls everywhere. And he laid down on the ground, and we put bread all over him. And birds were landing on him and picking bread off of him. And just a cloud of, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 gulls were circling around. It was great fun to see that happen. They're very human-oriented. They hang around humans, especially on docks and parking lots, and they also hang around trash cans where they get a chance to feed as well. They're associated with oceans, but many of this species live their entire lives inland, never seen the sea at all. So while I think of these as shorebirds, there are some that never make it to salt water. This is the ring-billed gull, a juvenile shot by Carl Bernhardt. Distribution all over the United States and up into the Canadian provinces. So moving on to the last one by Terry Stanfield. Terry lives here in Northwest Arkansas. He died, I don't know, what, a year and a half ago? Has it been 2 years? Yeah, so anyway, he provided us with a massive collection of photos, and again, was gracious enough to give us approval. This is a green heron taken in Benton County, Arkansas at the wildlife, the Eagle Watch Nature Area. It is on a lake built near a coal-fired electric generation station, and it's the cooling lake for it. Draws all sorts of birds, a very lush area, and birds in the winter flock to it. Migrating species stop there, and things like the green heron are there all the time. This is a bird that stands between 16 and 18 inches tall. It's a short, stocky bird, as you can see, with relatively short legs, and it has a thick neck that is often held down against its body, almost making it look like it has a hunchback in many cases. From a distance, it appears to be an all-dark bird, but in good light, you'd learn that it is a deep green on the back, and that rich chestnut that you can really see in this picture on the shoulders and neck has a white stripe down its breast. This bird will sit motionless on a log or at water's edge, hunting for fish and amphibians, so it lets its meal come to it. I think the most striking thing of this bird, other than that chestnut color, is that amazing eye, large golden eye with that jet black pupil in the middle of it. I think this is just a spectacular picture. And, you know, you look at that long, thick bill, and it just looks like it's meant for fishing, doesn't it? It just says, I'm going to catch big things, and I'm going to do it in the water with that bill. Its distribution is along the west coast of the United States, through the southwest, then up through the Midwest. Weirdly, it avoids the high plain states, then covers the eastern half of the United States, down into Central and into South America. This is the Green Heron by Terry Stanfield. Thank you for those photos, everybody. And if you're interested in sending your photos in to us, you can contact us either through the chat function right now, or you can go to the Explore Scientific store on Amazon.com. Send us a message. Go to Contact Seller, send a message, say, hey, I've got some pictures I'd love to submit for On the Hunt, and we will be glad.
On the wing.
What to say? On the hunt, on the wing. Some of these birds you can hunt.
I don't suggest it.
Can't hunt any of these birds today, though. Oh, you can. That mallard you can has a hunting season on those. So we're going to move along. I'm going to use this tripod. It does not come with this spotting scope, but I'm going to use it to make it easier to show off, right? Take off the front cover. This is the Alpen Apex. Oh, yeah, that's the pinnacle, the apex. Couldn't believe I couldn't think of that a while ago. This is the Apex spotting scope. It is a zoom spotting scope, which means the eyepiece zooms from, let me get it set right, from 20 power. So it starts at 20 power magnification, like you're 20 times closer than you are, and goes up to 60 times magnification. So a great zoom lens. This is why people use spotting scopes. They're generally almost always bigger aperture. They have higher power zoom and a really generous eyepiece right here. Has a twist up cup, just like you'd want. The focus is right here. You have a coarse focus knob and a close or a fine focus knob, so you can really get your subject in focus. Spinning this around, the objective is 80 millimeters. Now, how that compares, that's 5 times, I think it's 5 times the light gathering capacity of a pair of binoculars that has a 42 millimeter objective lens. So you can do the math. It's pi times the radius, it's pi r squared. So the radius times 3.14 tells you how many square inches in this case of light gathering capacity you have. That allows you to measure how much light there is on each one of your optical devices and see how much more light you get. So simply by going from 42 to 80, you've increased the light gathering capacity by a factor of something along the lines of 5. You've been watching some B-roll of it right there. Beautiful pair, beautiful single spotting scope. To put it on a slow motion tripod like this one, tabletop, so you can sit it on a post or a picnic table or something like that. Real quick and easy and portable. Or you can put it onto a standard tripod as well and up your viewing game with a spotting scope. Now, once again, this is an investment. This is a high-end spotting scope. Protect it. It's going to give you years and years and years and decades of enjoyment. One thing I didn't grab was the protective sleeve that it comes with. This protective sleeve has an opening right here in the end that unzips. And right here, you can slip it on and you can see that it will fit right over the scope. And so with this on, you're protecting the scope, and it has a zippered pouch right here. Not a slit, not a pouch. Zippered slit, so you can put it on a tripod. And if the weather's foul, this is waterproof. It's fully purged, but you want to protect it because, you know, it's an investment. So you can do this, do viewing with it on, and simply access what you need to and give it some protection up here in front. It also has an extendable dew shield / sun shield right there. So that comes out and gives you some protection on the front from glare and a little bit of rain if it's coming down. Another cool feature, if you're sitting down, looking through this can be very difficult because you have to get up and look down into it. But if you're sitting down, here's a real cool feature. This knob on the side allows you to loosen it, turn it to a comfortable viewing angle, so you can be sitting here like this, and you can just look over here, just like that, and look into the spotting scope. So it's real simple. You're sitting there, you can just look in. A lot of hunters use this function when they're out spotting game to sit for a long time and not have to hold up binoculars or their spotting scope to view. So this is the Alpen 20 power to 60 power zoom spotting scope with an 80 millimeter objective lens. This is the Apex series, Apex being the top of the line series of our Alpen brand. A fantastic spotting scope, great to use, easy, simple, comes with this nylon protective case. You can't go wrong if you're in the market for a spotting scope. Once again, you can go find spotting scopes and compare classes, and the money is a great investment compared to what else is out there on the market. Let's see, what else do we need to talk about? We've talked about that, focus, that, the carry case. You can connect a camera up to it. I keep forgetting to get the correct mount to show how you can hook a camera up to this. Noah, send me an email right now. Send me an email right now, Noah, that says spotting scope camera mount. And we'll do that on the next show. Send me an email, that way I can remember to do it. And we'll go get the correct mount, and we'll show you how to hook up a camera to this, a DSLR, next week when we do On the Wing, right here on Amazon Live at 2 o'clock Central Time every Thursday afternoon. We have reached the near end of our limit of time. It's not really, we can go as long as we want, But I want to go back to what we started the show with. Excuse me. If you're just joining us, these are the Bresser Kids 6x21 binoculars. Folks, these are the real deal. These are not toy play binoculars. They're hard to use. These are real binoculars. If you get them, you're going to like them. They're metal bodied with a rubber grip on it, glass elements inside of it, a nice focusing knob, and a diopter. This is a real pair of binoculars over in the carousel for $29.39. If, like I said earlier, if you want to be the hero gift giver for your kid, get a pair of binoculars for them and get a pair for yourself. And then go out bird watching with them or go out and do astronomy with them. You're going to make the field kid great because you're using the same binoculars they're using, or they're using the same binoculars you're using, and you can go out and talk about what you're seeing. You're going to have the same field of view, so you can say, you see that big stump over there? Okay, go 2 fields of view to the right. Well, it's going to be the same ones. And I think we have a comment coming in. Do we have a comment coming in?
Well, Michael Wiesner said hi to us.
Michael Wiesner says hi. Hi, Michael Wiesner.
And then Tariq said hi as well.
Hello, Tariq. Thanks for coming over. So, any other comments?
They're still there. Or not.
Yep. So, we have come up to 2:57 Central Time. We appreciate your hour or more that you spent with us. If you haven't done it yet, click that follow button if we've earned your trust and respect.
Look here.
For everyone that's given us your time, thank you for that gift. We do value it immensely, knowing that people choose to spend their valuable time with us, learning about our products. And, you know, I just want people to go out and start doing birding, start doing astronomy. That's my goal, is to recruit people into these hobbies that are fantastic hobbies. What you got, Paul?
Hey, Kent, guess what?
It's hot outside.
No.
It is too.
That's not what I'm wanting you to guess.
Well, but show me guess, and I guess correctly.
I said, guess what?
Guess who?
So if you look on the carousel.
Which, by the way, Paul, was a great band.
Look on the carousel.
My Skorts by Paul G. Newton. Is that Skorts?
That's my book.
Oh, Paul has a book?
You can't get it. It's on Amazon, but it's unavailable to buy.
Well,
I just thought it was funny because I remembered it was like, oh yeah, I got my book up there.
yeah,
You can't buy it.
So Paul just advertised a book you can't buy.
It's out of print. I thought it was funny.
Why don't you photocopy it and mail it to everybody?
It's actually more of a pamphlet, but yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So anyway, if you're in the
I
market,
thought that was
if
funny.
you've got a kid in your life, I'm telling you, those Bresser 6x21s are the route to go.
Come on, man.
Give them the summer solstice is coming up here on the 24th. Order them a summer solstice present. Present them some binoculars here from Amazon.com. They are Prime eligible, so off you go. And go out and do some bird watching, or go out and look at the planets rising in the morning. There's beautiful planets up in the morning. Teach your kid what binoculars are and how they can enhance your viewing pleasure. With that, on behalf of Paul Newton over in the control booth, who you've heard and not seen, but you've seen his work, because everything you see is his work.
I did the show myself like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, good for you. And over in the control room for Amazon, who is not there right now, Noah Menard, everybody else here at Explore Scientific, thank you for sharing your time with us once again. I am Kent Marts, and I wish you adieu. Bye-bye, everybody.
I thought that was funny. Well, I don't even know why it's on Amazon.